Man, what a great week it was last week with all of Kouri Richins there. Should be even better this week. Less gaps. By the way, everybody go and check out our update. Fantastic updates over on Metrix Archive, where we put all of the cases we cover. How pretty are they? Look how pretty they are. Zoom. There it is. There it is. Look at all that there. Kouri Richins, no sidebars. Nicely done on the audio. Oh, it's just a real treat. So if you are catching up, go and watch it now on Metrix Archive. Link is in the description. Yeah, buymeacoffee.com/True Crime Metrics. We're fucking late on that rent already. I think we've got until Friday before they charge me extra. Yeah. Utah, where you don't need electricity. Yeah, yeah.
500-139. Mr. Ramos, have you had an opportunity to consult with Dr. Christensen?
That's very helpful, Judge. We appreciate it. We're ready to go.
Okay. Mr. Burmester, anything before we invite the jury in?
No, Your Honor.
Counsel, anything before we invite the jury in?
No, Your Honor.
All right, let's do it.
We're ready, Judge.
I'm going to stay put mostly now.
All right, the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen, please have a seat as you come in. Please have a seat. Good morning. Thank you for your patience. We'll now proceed with additional witnesses in the state's case in chief. Mr. Burmester, the state's next witness, please.
Dr. Eric Christensen.
Let's invite Dr. Christensen in. Doctor, if you would step in front of Brittany, we'll get you sworn in, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a seat.
Drag that chair wherever you need to.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
Sure. Eric Dean Christensen. Last name Christensen.
Sir, are you employed?
I'm currently self-employed.
You were recently the chief medical examiner for the state of Utah?
Yes, I retired in 2024.
How long were you the chief medical examiner?
I began working as a chief medical examiner in July of 2016.
Did you then supervise Dr. Ulmer?
I did.
Are you familiar with the death investigation for Eric Richins?
I am.
And how are you familiar with it?
I'm familiar with it from discussions with Dr. Ulmer over the time she was evaluating the case, as well as my subsequent review of the medical examiner's file.
Did you have an occasion to talk to Kouri Richins?
I did.
Okay. Have you testified as an expert in forensic pathology before?
I have many times.
Okay. I would like to first talk to you about cause and manner of death and the statutory requirement for that process. When you have a death investigation, could you please explain how, I guess, what the manner of death choices are and what's the purpose of that, and just
Sure.
describe that for the jury,
Okay.
please.
So, two of the things that the medical examiner is tasked with doing under statute is determining the cause of death and the manner of death. The manner of death is a box that we check on a death certificate that is essentially a one-word synopsis of the circumstances surrounding that person's death. The options available to us, we can certify that a death is a natural death. It can be an accident, it can be a suicide, it can be a homicide, or it can be, in Utah, the death certificate reads could not be determined, what most commonly is referred to as undetermined. And in those settings, undetermined essentially means we can't we don't have enough information to decide which of those other 4 options best fits.
What's the purpose of that whole exercise?
Again, it's something that's on the death certificate, and so it's part of the vital statistics function that the medical examiner's office provides. All of the deaths that we investigate and deaths that we certify provide information then back to the state. Sometimes that's public safety, sometimes it's Department of Health. Other people will utilize that death certificate data to evaluate the ways that people are dying within the state and attempt to intervene to minimize those types of deaths.
In this particular case, were you stuck between the first 4 you mentioned, such that you ended up picking undetermined or cannot be determined?
Yes, again, and just to be clear, I didn't sign the death certificate, Dr. Ulmer did, but certainly was involved in discussions around that. And the determination, making a determination of undetermined means that we generally can't decide between 2. In this case, I would say actually generally most cases where we certify a death as undetermined, it's because in overdose deaths that we certify as undetermined, it's because I don't know enough about the person's own intent. We see it frequently in the setting, for example, of people that may have depression or other mood disorders, and maybe even prior suicide attempts, as well as they may have substance use history that they use to self-medicate their depression and things. And so if someone overdoses on a drug that they're known to abuse, but they also have depression, if they don't leave a note or something else, then I don't really have a means of, telling just from looking at that, did they mean to do this or is it accidental, incident to their normal drug use? That's the most common scenario in which we certify a death as undetermined. In this case in specific, we did not really have any concerns about suicide in this case, but there had been concerns related to our office that perhaps someone had done something to provide this to him and that he didn't just take it himself, but we didn't know. We had no idea how he got the stuff into his system, and so with that, we were left with undetermined.
So the choice there would have been, as opposed to accident and suicide, it was accident and homicide.
Correct.
Okay. Could you describe for the jury the way in which the body processes substances? In particular, I'm looking at opiates and the different ways they can be ingested.
Okay, there's a lot in that question.
Yeah, sorry.
Opiates can be consumed in a lot of ways. Even things, for example, like pills that you might get from your doctor, for hydrocodone or oxycodone, opioid-related medications, those can be just taken by mouth as they're usually prescribed, but it's not uncommon for us to see people take those pills, crush them up, dissolve them in liquid, draw them up into a syringe and inject them. It's also not uncommon for us to see those pills crushed and then heated, and people inhale the vapors from that, primarily as a means of getting the drug into their system more quickly. And there's lots of other reported ways that people use things, but those are probably the most 3 common ways that we see pills abused. People may directly inject just about any drug that's available in liquid form. Fentanyl certainly is. Fentanyl is also available in patches and lozenges and other forms, and so it can get into the system in a lot of different ways. In terms of what your body does with it, fentanyl in specific is metabolized primarily by your liver. There's what they call a CYP enzyme that is primarily responsible for the metabolism of fentanyl in your liver. That metabolism is felt to be mostly determined by how much blood is flowing through your liver. So the more blood flow you have to the liver, the more rapidly it will be metabolized. There are other ways that sometimes people will metabolize it more slowly, but based on what specific genes they have for metabolism, for that metabolizing enzyme, but mostly it's a function of how much blood is flowing through the liver. And it's then converted very quickly, has a very short half-life in the body, minutes, and is converted to a substance called norfentanyl. which then is eliminated in the urine. Don't know if that
Once
covered
it,
all
yeah,
your-
that's great. Thank you. Once it gets into the blood, then what's the intoxicating effect? I mean, how does that function?
Sure. So fentanyl in the blood distributes throughout the body. It's absorbed either through the mucosa, the lining of the mouth, or directly into veins, whatever. It gets into the bloodstream. And then from there, it gets into the brain, it gets into other organs, where it exerts its primary effects on the brain and the central nervous system, where it causes respiratory depression and or cessation. Can also cause central nervous system depression, meaning it alters the way you think, can make you groggy or less than normally responsive and things. But its primary lethal effects are related to its effects on your breathing. And it is dose dependent, so a higher dose will do this more readily than a lower dose, but it will either slow or stop your breathing, and sometimes that has lethal consequences.
The lethal consequences then are from stopping breathing?
Yes.
Okay. And when you stop breathing, death ensues. Does that metabolizing process continue to happen, or does that stop as well?
Generally, it will stop. There are, once your circulation stops and blood is no longer flowing through the liver, you're not going to have that continued metabolism through the liver. But there are a number of changes, large number of changes that are described in the way fentanyl is present in the body after death, that are related to changes in the pH of the body as you start to decompose, and other things that will influence what those levels look like.
When a person, I'm going to give you a hypothetical. So we have a decedent, and in the blood you and the lab personnel determine that there is quetiapine below the threshold of their tools. There is fentanyl at 15 nanograms per milliliter. And then in the gastric fluid, there is quetiapine at about 16,000 nanograms per milliliter, and fentanyl at 20,000 nanograms per milliliter. My question then is, based on that hypothetical, is there sufficient information for you to determine whether those two drugs were taken simultaneously or sequentially, and if sequentially, which one came first?
I can't tell you that.
There's just not enough information?
No, you can't derive that information from those values.
Okay. I just wanted to follow up. You said there's drowsiness as a consequence of taking, I assume, opioids of any type. Fentanyl just happens to be stronger?
Yes, fentanyl on a weight-by-weight basis, 1 milligram of fentanyl compared to 1 milligram of oxycodone or of morphine is sort of the usual reference standard, because it is the classic opiate medication. Fentanyl is just much, much more potent, 80 to 100 times more potent than morphine.
So you said there's depression of the respiratory system, drowsiness. How quickly might one start to metabolize, given the fact that they take some fentanyl and it causes their death? Would they be able to metabolize at least some of it?
You would expect so, yes.
Okay.
I mean, there are a number of overdose deaths reported in the literature where the death occurs so quickly, and these are primarily in the setting of intravenous drug use, that no metabolism is able to be recorded because they just die too quickly. But generally speaking, we see some level of metabolism.
Let me see. I wanted to. someone takes an overdose, a fatal dose of fentanyl, it's not then instantaneous death.
It depends partly. I mean, generally speaking, no. It's a function of the dose and the route of administration. So it's going to get into the system more quickly as an IV, or smoking will generally get it there pretty quickly as well. But ingestion would delay that somewhat. But different, however it gets into the body is going to determine how quickly that happens.
In this case, we have the two things, I think. One is there's some fentanyl in the stomach, the 20,000 nanograms.
Yes.
And also a measurement of, I know I'm saying it incorrectly, acetyl fentanyl.
Acetyl fentanyl, yes.
Does that is that information help you determine how it was ingested in this case?
It's suggestive that it's an oral ingestion. The presence of a large amount of fentanyl in the stomach, sort of the rough equivalent of several milligrams by volume is suggests that it was taken by that route, but there's not any way to definitely know that. There is some literature that suggests that the stomach will concentrate it, regardless of where it's from, but it is suggestive of that. And the presence of acetyl fentanyl in the stomach is also consistent with, is more consistent with this being illicit fentanyl than otherwise. Acetyl fentanyl is a variant of fentanyl that is, in our office, certainly we've only seen it in the setting of illicitly manufactured fentanyl.
When a body comes in for autopsy, in this case, Mr. Richins' body comes in, is it routine to check for injection sites?
Yes.
And
in this case in particular, there was visible pulmonary edema described at the scene, foam coming out of the mouth, and that is most commonly in somebody who didn't drown or have a history of heart failure is concerning for an opiate overdose, and so we would, in that case, do a thorough check for those.
Oh, for
injection
sites, and none found.
Again, I did not do the exam. None are described, and none were discussed by Dr. Ulmer.
Okay.
And I didn't see any in the photographs.
When you, in cases where you've seen an overdose death, particularly an accidental overdose death where you suspected inhalation, what's the sort of evidence that you would expect to see?
I'm not sure what you mean. Inhalation of the substance?
Of fentanyl or opiates.
Yeah, they all kind of look the same from that regard. You may see evidence that they've been smoking. Sometimes you'll see little burns on their fingers or other things from heating it up to smoke it, because they're not actually smoking it in the same way that you smoke a cigarette where you light it on fire and then you're inhaling the smoke. What actually is happening is that drug is being heated up and vaporized, and you're inhaling the vapors.
So, in those cases, do you tend to see evidence of that heating up? That is, tinfoil or torches?
Certainly, yes, those things can be present at the scene.
Okay.
Commonly are seen at the scene.
Okay. Now, is it common for the people who are left behind to call the ME's office to find out what's happening in the case of their deceased person?
I wouldn't say it's common, but it's not uncommon. I mean, I spend a lot of time, most days I was in the office speaking with family members.
Typically, that would be whoever did the autopsy would be talking to the person who's calling?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Ulmer retired in January of 2023?
Yeah, technically, her last day of work was the end of December of 22.
Okay. And did you receive a call from Kouri Richins then?
I did, subsequent to her retirement.
And did you return her call?
I believe I didn't return her call. I believe she was just put on hold and then connected with me.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to listen to a recording of that phone call?
Yes, I'm not sure where it came from either, but yeah.
Is it consistent with your recollection of that phone call?
I did not have any independent recollection of it until I heard it, but yes, it's me on the phone call.
Okay. And have you had a chance to look at the transcript of it?
I have.
Okay. And is that accurate to your,
Yes.
when you listen to the
Yes,
tape?
it appears to be.
Okay. State would offer States Exhibit 2-60 and 2-61T.
He indicated he's reviewed it. Certainly we could ask questions. If he needs his recollection refreshed, then I think we could move to admit at that point. But if the state would just
I think the state's admitting it as evidence of defendant's words and statements in the relevant time frame.
I misunderstood. No objection.
And so, okay.
We'd ask permission to publish it then if it's offered and admitted.
So 2-60 is the audio recording, correct?
Correct?
And 2-61T is the transcript.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Those two are admitted. Scott, give me just a moment here, sir. Give that a try.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to listen to this. It's about 9 minutes long, and then I will ask you 3 questions regarding it. Okay, thank you. Can we advance it 30 seconds?
Right now, okay? Thank you
The
so
first
much.
30 seconds
Thank you so
is-
much. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to transfer you right now, okay? Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm not hearing it.
Did we lose it, Scott?
I think so.
All right, no problem. Let's start over. We're getting quicker at this. Scott, if you would disconnect and reconnect on your end, I'll do the same on mine.
I'm going to transfer you right now, okay? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. No problem.
Hey, this is Kouri Richins. Hey, I just have some quick questions for you. I'm just trying to understand the toxicology report, and I promise I won't take up a ton of your time.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Can you just kind of explain to me, I guess, she was saying that this kind of supplemental report, I guess, was left out of the first autopsy, and so nothing has really changed. Do you have it in front of
Right.
you?
I do. Yeah, I got
Okay.
the file here.
Scott, did we drop that again?
Yes.
All right, I apologize, folks. Let's try that again. Scott, if you would disconnect from the system, thank you. Then reconnect, please.
Seeing if we do any additional microscope.
I'm going to transfer you right
So much.
Thank you so much. No problem.
Is that Chris?
Hey, this is Kouri Richins. Hey, I just have some quick questions for you. I'm just trying to understand the toxicology report, and I promise I won't take up a ton of your time.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Can you just kind of explain to me, I guess, she was saying that this kind of supplemental report, I guess, was left out of the first autopsy, and so nothing has really changed. Do you have it in front of
Right.
you?
I do. Yeah, I got the file here.
So can
Yeah,
you...
so just so you know, so we issue supplemental reports, like if once the original report's issued, if we do any additional testing, if we do any additional microscopic examination, anything like that, then we include that. You know, we issue a supplemental report to include that additional information. And sometimes it does change the cause or manner, but in this case it didn't.
Okay, it was just like extra testing done?
Extra tox testing, yeah. So originally the testing, the only toxicology testing that was done was on blood. And so then this was additional testing on stomach contents.
Okay, and so is there a, difference in that, I guess?
Well, they just tell you different things in the sense of, it tells you something about what, was it, is it been there a long time? Is this something the person's been using for a long time?
Okay.
Is it something they ate? Is it something they, injected? Is it, whatever? And there's different things you can learn by looking at different substances. I mean, we fully expected to find it in the stomach. It's just a question of what was there.
So does does this tell you, like, if it was like injected, if he ate it, is that what this, can you tell from this report?
Not definitively. I mean, it seems like, with what the amount that's there, that it probably was ingested. Probably taken by mouth.
Okay, and so the 15 ng, like, is that like a substantial amount? Is that like a trace?
That's a lot of fentanyl in the blood, yeah. And that's, people die with half that amount or less in their system.
Okay, so that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So what's the next one down, the norfentanyl?
It's a metabolite of fentanyl. It's what your body changes fentanyl into after you take it.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. And then, sorry, just the third one, the acetyl. I don't know how you say that.
Acetyl fentanyl.
Oh.
Yeah, that's just it's a form of, it's a variant of fentanyl that is usually only present in the setting of illicitly manufactured fentanyl.
Illicit manufactured, like a pharmacy?
No. Like a lot of most fentanyl that we see that ends up leading people to die these days is related to fentanyl that's manufactured by drug cartels as opposed to by pharmaceutical companies.
Oh, good Lord! So this is like more of like a cartel. No, that's not what it is.
You call this street fentanyl as opposed to
prescription.
Fentanyl.
Okay, I see. And then is the ethanol, is that alcohol?
That's alcohol. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and is that like the 279? Is that kind of like a substantial amount, or is that like one drink? Is that 5 drinks?
You can't tell how much it is, and in this case, since this testing was sent, quite a long time after the original autopsy, most likely that's related to post-mortem change, but it could be stuff that he drank. There's not really a way to sort that out. It could be related to decomposition of the stomach contents, or it could be related to stuff he drank. But either way, in the stomach contents, there's no way to know what that level means in terms of, if that was a blood level, that would be the same as a 0.28, which would be, that person would be pretty substantially intoxicated. But because it's gastric contents, you could in theory pull something out and it would be, 100%.
I gotcha. Okay. So it's not present in the blood, just the gastric or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And then just the last one. What is quetiapine? Quetiapine?
Quetiapine is an antipsychotic medication. It's called Seroquel.
Okay. I gotcha.
It's a prescription, mental health medication. That's prescribed for different things.
I gotcha. Okay. And it has like 16,000?
16,000 nanograms per milliliter. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and is that, I mean, quite a bit? Like, can that...
Yeah, I mean, that's a big number, but it doesn't really mean that much. You know, so a nanogram is a millionth of a gram, and a gram is not very big. So even 16,000 of them is not a huge amount.
Okay. Is there, like, could those have been mixed, or is that not kind of a...
What's that? Could what be mixed?
Quetiapine and, like, the fentanyl? Or, is that, like, a normal, I guess, drug thing? I don't know. Like...
It's not, I mean, you know, most of the time if we see those together, it's because somebody was taking quetiapine as a prescribed medication and they were abusing fentanyl. But, you know, there's, you know, do you have any indication he was abusing fentanyl?
No, that's why all of this is just like, what the heck is this and going on? So I guess that's why I'm confused just about all of this, honestly. So I don't know. So, I mean, I know it doesn't mean anything now, but just kind of something for me to, you know, try and figure out, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming the acetopin, is that like a aspirin or something?
Acetaminophen, that's just Tylenol. Yeah.
Oh, that's fentanyl too?
No, that's Tylenol.
Oh, Tylenol. I was like, holy shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So just like Tylenol, caffeine, and then the naloxone, I'm assuming, is just something that they gave him while he was here?
Probably would be my guess. It'd be, you know, somebody that's unresponsive. It's a very common thing for EMS to give people.
Okay. Okay, no, that works. I was just trying to figure out, you know, if this is anything different, if we found out anything new with this stuff.
Oh, come on.
Pause there. It's okay. We can fix it. Scott, don't change anything. Okay. It seems like if I do this, press play again.
Yeah, like she said, it doesn't change anything in the cause or manner of death. It's still, you know, definitely, you know, death from fentanyl intoxication, and we still don't know how he got it into him.
Yeah, and I mean, is that anything you could ever find out? If it was, I mean, do people normally eat that? Like, take it, swap? Like, is that something you like shoot?
It's not usually something people eat. Well, that's not even true anymore. So with illicitly manufactured stuff, sometimes people take pills that have that. So yeah, these days you can't really tell.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate your time. I do. Thank you very much. And
yep. If you have other questions, don't hesitate to give me a call.
Okay. Awesome. What was your name?
Dr. Christensen.
Oh, Christensen. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep,
Bye-bye.
you're welcome. Yep.
I'd like to follow up on a couple things there. You mentioned to her about if the gastric contents were blood, it would be 0.28
Yes.
blood alcohol, but it's, in fact, not in the blood. It's in the gastric, and so there's no way of conveniently figuring out how much it is, much less its source.
That's correct.
Are you okay? Do you need a glass of water?
I've got water. I'm good.
Okay. You mentioned in that call, at first you said we typically don't see it eaten, but you can't say that anymore. Could you expound upon that? How, in cases where there's pills, is it common to see them eaten?
Okay. A few things about that. So over time, I'd say the last 20 years, we saw a rather dramatic change in the deaths we saw related to fentanyl. Until the early 20-teens, pretty much all fentanyl deaths were related to prescription fentanyl being used incorrectly, most commonly by healthcare providers and other people who would, have access to it and would abuse it. And it was just not a common thing. We just didn't see a lot of deaths related to that. Once patches became available, which were designed, primarily for, treating cancer patients with bad pain and things of that nature, people became creative with how they used those patches as well. Some people would, put on multiple patches, or they would put on patches and a heating pad to sort of drive it into their system more quickly. Seen people that would smoke them, people that would insert them into their rectum that would chew them up. Sometimes we find, multiple chewed up patches in the stomach, and certainly other ways have been described as well with patches. But once the illicit drug supply, and primarily the heroin supply, came to be, either augmented and or replaced by fentanyl, we saw, we saw much less in the way of the prescription abuse and much more of the illicit stuff being used. And some of that was in the form of what was heroin. Most heroin in this area was black tar heroin, which then became ended up having fentanyl within it. So people that had been heroin users would still be using what they thought was heroin, and it would have fentanyl in it, many times mixed with heroin. Eventually, some cases was not mixed at all, but was just straight fentanyl. Counterfeit fentanyl pills, or counterfeit oxycodone pills. Fentanyl in pill form, made to look like it was an oxycodone pill, also became a fairly common thing. And as we discussed before with other pills, people will abuse those in different ways. Sometimes they can ingest them directly, but they can also grind them up and inject them or smoke them. So they can be used in all kinds of different ways. But in the phone call, what I'm referring to, we mostly did not see anybody eating fentanyl before illicit fentanyl. With the advent of these counterfeit pills, we saw it somewhat, more often, or would assume that was the route. But we, even then, most of the time don't know how somebody gets the fentanyl into them, even if they have it on their person.
In this case, there certainly wasn't any injection sites noted.
No.
Are there tests, forensic tools, aid in the determination of whether one is a chronic or habitual or a naive user?
It's a good question. So there's been a lot published on the assessment of fentanyl levels in people that have died, and ways that you can try and parse some of those things out. The bottom line for all of them is you can't look at a number in isolation and make a determination based on, this is a lethal level, so this level has to be the cause of their death. There are certainly people who, become tolerant. Most opioids, people will develop tolerance over time, and so they can have very, very high levels and not. We had no history in this case in particular to suggest long-term chronic use, but also didn't know. And there are things that could potentially be looked at to try and assess longer-term use. The only published data I've seen around that revolves around comparing the fentanyl to the norfentanyl level, and levels where that ratio is more than 8 are believed to be consistent with an acute intoxication. Ratios of 2.5 or less are consistent with chronic use. In this case, that ratio is about 4.6, so it's right in between, so it doesn't really provide us helpful information either way.
Okay. That's the ratio between fentanyl and its metabolite.
Correct.
As you find it.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of pseudo-allergic reaction to opioids?
Yes.
Could you tell the jury a little bit about that?
Sure. Most allergic reactions are because the body has developed an immune response to some specific protein substance, whether it's nuts or grasses or whatever, pollens of different types, and your body reacts to that and triggers a reaction through your immune system that elicits what we typically think of as allergy symptoms that can range everywhere from, stuffy head all the way up to anaphylaxis and death. In the setting of opiates do not elicit a true allergic response, but there are many people that take opiates who have an allergic-like reaction, but it's because the drugs themselves are directly triggering those cells that cause those symptoms as opposed to going through the immune system route. And so some people will, that chronically take opiates and opioids for pain, will pre-medicate or medicate around the same time with things like Benadryl and other things to minimize those symptoms because they know they have that reaction. Certainly most people that take them do not have that reaction, but some do. And that's
if one didn't know and one took some opiate, could they have hives and those sorts of allergic-like responses?
yes.
Given all the symptoms that you talked about, the lungs, the edema, and the data from NMS labs, do you have any concern about the cause of death in this particular case?
No.
And the 15 nanograms, as you explained to Kouri Richins, was a lot.
Yes, it's well within the range of levels that we see in people that die from fentanyl.
Do you remember when that phone call took place?
Do I remember what?
When that phone call took place?
I don't off the top of my head.
Okay. Does your office take notes when you receive calls and reply to calls, et cetera?
Yes.
Okay.
That changed a little bit over the time I was there. It used to be we'd get a little scrap of paper with a note written on it, return this call, and we turned that into a digital log before I retired, but yes.
Would it help to look at one of those notes to refresh your recollection as to when the call took place?
Sure.
May I approach the witness?
Of course.
No, I better show you. I'm sorry.
You're good. Thank you.
Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, this is from the log. Just said that an incoming call came to me from Kouri Richins, and she had questions, and that this is my notes.
And so, what day did that phone call?
On January 12th of 2023, a couple weeks after Dr. Ulmer's retirement.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Could I get some more water?
Of course.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We've spoken before. I'm going to ask you some follow-up questions to Mr. Burmisters.
Sure.
I'll start off with that final thing that Mr. Burmister showed you. You indicated that you would take calls from different individuals, correct?
That's correct.
And did you receive other calls in this case from law enforcement?
I believe I did, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection, or do you recall a call around the same time in this case?
I don't recall the timing of it.
Okay. I'm going to approach you with the same case notes. And it's that first one.
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay. And did you in fact receive a call before Ms. Richins?
Yes, the day before.
And was that law enforcement?
It was.
And was that also regarding the supplemental report?
Yes.
Okay. And either your recollection or what's in your notes, do you recall if most of the questions were the same that Ms. Richins asked you on the 12th?
I don't have any specific recollection, but my general recollection was that we discussed the supplemental tox findings.
Perfect. I'll take that back. Now, the questions that that we just heard Ms. Richins ask you, very similar to what we're asking today, correct?
Yes.
I'd like to talk to you about the allergen discussion you just had. You indicated that perhaps an individual could have a reaction like hives.
Yes.
If someone is allergic, in this case to an opioid, as you indicated, does that allergy disappear?
I'm not sure what you mean. Does it go away over time?
Over time, or within a certain amount of time, or?
I mean, allergies certainly are things that can fluctuate. People can receive treatment, and their responses to different things will go away.
Were there hives on Mr. Richins' body, to your recollection?
No.
Okay. We were talking about illicit fentanyl and counterfeit pills.
Yes.
Containing traces of fentanyl?
Milligram amounts.
Okay. Now, the tablets or pills that would contain these traces, what kind of pills would those be? Generally.
Objection. The discussion, if we're talking Oxycontin, is that what you were saying?
I've not said it. I've just said pills.
Okay. Well, there's no pills that they have that you can make.
Would you provide a little more foundation for your question
Sure.
so we know what we're talking about?
Absolutely. Your testimony just now was that, in your experience, you started to see that fentanyl overdoses were coming in through your office, correct?
Correct.
And in those overdoses, you gathered information, and because you would see that there was a presence of acetyl, I say that right? Acetyl fentanyl?
Acetyl fentanyl. Acetyl is also fine.
Okay. Acetyl fentanyl. that was more likely a result of illicit fentanyl.
It's a form of fentanyl that in some cases there were a variety over time of different fentanyl variants that were developed primarily in response to controlled substance legislation. If fentanyl is outlawed, then we'll add an acetyl group to that molecule, and then it's no longer controlled. And so we can distribute that as a non-controlled substance. And then that one gets controlled. And so then, there were dozens of variants of fentanyl that were developed over time. Acetyl fentanyl was one of the more common ones that we saw early in this wave of progression, but it was one that we saw not infrequently.
Now, with that, what was the acetyl fentanyl contained in, usually in your experience?
I don't recall ever having seen acetyl fentanyl as in a substance form in any of our specific cases.
Because it was always inside whatever pill or however it was administered, correct?
I don't even know if it was pill administered. I don't know.
Or injection?
Or I don't know how we would see it in people, but I don't recall ever seeing that correlate with a specific pill that we had tested that was shown to contain that. I know generally the crime lab identified acetyl fentanyl in some pills, but I don't recall a specific instance in my casework where those two were correlated.
Describe counterfeit pills.
Counterfeit pills are essentially illicitly manufactured pills, and sometimes very sophisticatedly, where people will buy the same kind of a pill press that a drug manufacturer uses, and they put their stuff into it and press pills that look very, very similar to legitimate prescription pills. The most common counterfeit pills that we've seen have been fake 30 milligram oxycodone pills that tested contained only fentanyl. And there are also some benzodiazepine pills, things like Valium and Xanax and other things where those, what look like Xanax pills have also contained fentanyl.
And you just indicated two different things, that in some instances it was purely fentanyl. Those pills contained only fentanyl, correct?
Correct.
And then there were other times where perhaps they were still traces, or there were still the other benzos, for example?
Those would be different pills. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm not aware of any where it was both fentanyl and benzos, or, made to look like benzos that didn't have that. We've seen counterfeit benzodiazepine pills and counterfeit oxycodone pills, both of which contained only fentanyl.
Correct. Now, in this case, you were provided, or your office rather, was provided with a hydrocodone bottle, correct?
Correct.
Now, that bottle you keep in your office, correct?
We do. Until the case is done, eventually it's discarded, but yes.
You talked about would it be fair to say that fentanyl, right now you discussed how you would find acetylfentanyl, and that was one part of it, and then you had to make sure that legislation got that specific one into the...
To include in the Controlled Substances Act. And every year for, this time from the late teens to the early 20s, it seemed like every year we were adding things. They did eventually make some changes where relatedness became, if it wasn't changed enough, it was still covered. But it was an evolving process. And what we would see in the deaths that we saw related to fentanyl and fentanyl analogs also changed.
And with that, also peer review literature as to the effects of fentanyl, correct?
I would assume so.
That would make. You kind of hesitated? I would assume so.
Well, I mean, yeah, the peer-reviewed literature is evolving all the time, and so I don't know if there's a specific thing you're referencing. I don't know, but certainly, initially there was not a lot of. As the fentanyl supply changed from primarily pharmaceutical to primarily illicit, there in the early stages of that, there was not a lot of new literature to look at the postmortem levels in people that have died of this illicitly manufactured fentanyl as compared to the different ways that people used to take it as a diverted pharmaceutical before.
And that's exactly where I was going. The postmortem, these levels that we've been discussing. Mr. Burmester asked you about the postmortem levels, and you received from NMS reference comments, correct?
Yeah, that's part of their report.
Correct. And do you recall what those numbers were in terms of the femoral blood as it relates to
accidental overdose deaths from fentanyl, overlap the levels that are seen as described with, prescription usage.
And part of the reason for that is going back to the literature is that there is no, I'm trying to find the right words for it. There's no set number, universal number that the medical community can attribute in terms of what becomes lethal, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and the reason for that, or part of the reason, and add to this, is both the individual's own use, prior use, if any.
Yes.
Perhaps the toxicity or rather the amount of fentanyl in it, correct?
The dose.
In the dose?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The potency of that dose, correct?
Fentanyl is going to be relatively equipotent, but the fentanyl analogs may have different potencies.
Okay. A fixed fatal threshold? Does that sound?
Yeah, there isn't one.
Okay. You were discussing the ratio of fentanyl with norfentanyl with Mr. Burmester. Do you recall that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I got lost, to be frank.
Not surprising. I'm not always good as explaining as I'd like to.
No, I think it was just going over my head. But tying it together with the post-mortem literature out there and this ever-evolving world that unfortunately we're dealing with now with fentanyl, is there any literature on how that ratio can be affected? that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of any specific literature that looks at the ratio of fentanyl to norfentanyl. Is it a cause of death? Is it a time use or multiple time use? I'm not aware of any literature that discusses that. There certainly has been some literature added over the years to discuss comparing, for example, the amount of fentanyl seen in the heart to that seen in a peripheral site. We call it like something like from the femoral vein. To try and assess, things, or looking at other, what we would call substrates, other sample types, fluid from the eye, testing the liver, urine, other things of that nature.
Let's talk about that. We discussed this when we spoke. You talked about things that you, looking back, you could have done.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Could you explain to the jury some of those?
Sure. There is, I guess they say hindsight is always 20/20, but you can certainly. There are a number of things that are in the literature now suggesting that you might gain additional information if you test, for example, urine, which is not something that medical examiner's office routinely does in any case, because what's in the urine is simply a reflection of what has gone on before, and what we need to know is what's in the blood, what's in their system circulating at the time they die. So we don't routinely test that. There is some suggestion that that can help you sort out how quickly or not quickly a given death related to fentanyl might have occurred. And then there's been other evaluation of other substances like fluid from the eye, what we call vitreous fluid, as well as liver, and looking at both of those as a means of perhaps augmenting the understanding of what's going on in the blood as well. When you take something, for example, by mouth, it goes through, down into your stomach, gets absorbed, and then anything that gets absorbed goes through your liver before it goes anywhere else. And so an oral ingestion, in theory, might show up as a higher level in the liver than if it's taken IV or something in some other method. So there are other things we could do that would certainly, potentially help our understanding of how the fentanyl played out in Mr. Richins' case.
And you had also mentioned in our discussion, the brain, the heart, and maybe you mentioned blood. Are those also helpful? Looking back again, hindsight.
Yeah, so the brain, there's good literature that suggests the brain takes up fentanyl, and that is the cause of both the central nervous system and the respiratory depression. It's interacting with opioid receptors in the brain. There's not any published literature that I'm aware of that talks about what a given level in the brain would mean. Same with other solid organs. There's starting to be some literature discussing what a liver level might mean, but I'm not aware of any other specific organ sampling sites that might add light to that.
What about hair follicles?
Hair testing in the setting of drug use is primarily used as a means of evaluating drug use over time. Drugs do get taken up into the hair. And when we collect samples to send for hair testing, which pretty much we only do when we're requested to, but you tie off a bundle of hair. They want usually about a centimeter, so a little under half an inch bundle of hair. And we tie it off at the roots, cut it off, and then that gets sent to the lab, and they take sections of it starting at the root going back to see, based on how fast hair grows, how long has this person been exposed to this substance.
And you indicated unless you're requested, I imagine, for example, law enforcement.
Yes.
Okay. That wasn't done in this case.
That was not done in this case.
Now, as we heard, Ms. Richins, she indicated that Eric was not using fentanyl, correct?
Correct.
And there was, going back to the initial conversation or the initial testimony regarding the different categories, when you're trying to really determine what to put down on the death certificate, one of the unanswered question was, well, was he using, correct?
Yeah, that was part of it, certainly.
And in our prior discussions, you've indicated that, at times individuals didn't tell family, correct?
That would be not uncommon, yes.
Okay. And certainly in this case, a hair follicle test, if it had been requested of your office, you would have sent it out.
We would. I don't know, and I think as I told you, I don't know what the literature says about hair follicle testing for fentanyl specifically, whether that's a useful endeavor or not. I don't know.
Fair enough. Certainly it wasn't asked of you, and certainly you didn't get the results back.
No.
Now, had that been done, had you gotten the results back, and it did show long-term, that certainly would have played into your determination as to the manner of death, correct?
Objection calls for speculation. The testimony has been...
Yeah, why don't we have a... Mr.
You are not aware of a hair follicle test, in your experience, being done for fentanyl?
I am not.
Okay. You don't know if it can be done?
I do not know.
Had a hair follicle test just for any drug, including fentanyl, just hair follicle test to be sent out to see if there's any type of drug use whatsoever, your office would have done that, correct?
Objection?
Overruled.
If we were requested to, that's certainly not something we would ever routinely do.
Absolutely no, and I'm not implying that. And to be fair, the reason you wouldn't do that is because your office is tasked with what's at hand, which is what do you have in front of you to determine the manner and cause of death, correct?
Correct. Why is this person dead right now?
Correct.
As opposed to some other time.
And in terms of your checklist, the hair follicle just doesn't come in terms of what you do, correct?
It can, or it could in theory, but yeah, mostly no.
But if it were to be requested of you, you would or could do it.
We could.
Objection. I think the answer was for this particular case.
What's the objection, Mr. Burmester? Asked and answered?
Asked and answered, and calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Okay.
I'll ask you a different question.
So I'm going to go back with all that in mind. If you send out a hair follicle test, is your practice generally, when you receive the results of said hair follicle test, to use those said results in your determination of whether or not to change a manner of death?
They would be part of, all the information that we look at to come up with our final cause and manner of death.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you for that. There. Mr. Burmester asked you about the sequence of items that were ingested or not ingested. Do you recall that?
Yes.
You indicated that there's simply not enough information at hand to be able to determine that, correct?
Yeah, not just from this case. In forensic toxicology, generally, you can't tell when something was taken just based on a number.
And that's what I wanted to make clear, whether it was just in this case or just generally.
Generally, you can do that.
And that means that there are no tests or nothing else that you can go back and do to make that determination, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Bear with me, I'm almost done. In your involvement in this case, something unusual did occur in this case in terms of the investigation, correct? In terms
You'd
of
have to be more specific.
I'm sorry. Yes, I will.
Yeah.
In terms of
talking about.
I'm going to refer.
We're about to find out.
Yeah, I apologize for poor question. I'll start all over. We saw your case notes.
Yes.
And there you spoke with one law enforcement officer, correct?
Yes,
Now, you also received other communications from other law, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And do you recall being invited to a meeting to have a discussion about this case?
Yes,
And do you recall if the DA was involved in that case?
I believe so.
And other prosecutors, correct?
I believe so, yes.
As well as other law enforcement agencies, correct?
I don't know.
Okay. And that was unusual in your practice?
It's not common. It happens, but not commonly.
Okay. No further questions, Judge. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Mr. Burmester, within the scope of cross, please. Oh, my apologies. Maybe not yet.
Apologies,
Do you have
Judge.
some order, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay, very good.
We're good, Judge. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Mr. Burns.
Just trying to figure out this meeting you said. Is it the one you testified earlier when you got a call from law enforcement?
I believe so. From my notes that were in the log that I looked at, I was invited to a meeting. It was my recollection, it was some sort of virtual meeting. I don't know if it was WebEx or Zoom or whatever. And I believe it was with Mr. Hemingway's computer, but there were other people in the room who were introduced to me, but I don't recall exactly who was.
You don't know who that was?
I don't know who. I couldn't give you
And
a list.
when defense counsel says the DA, presumably the Salt Lake DA was not interested in this case.
Oh, I think he said DEA.
DEA.
Oh, yeah, I don't recall. I misunderstood that. I thought I was asked DA as well.
So my apologies. I want to make sure I don't get involved in any confusion here. Would you please clarify what his testimony is?
I think you've said you received notice to attend a virtual meeting and law enforcement was there.
Yes.
And you don't know who specifically in law enforcement was there?
Besides Mr. Hemingway, no.
And this was the day before Kouri Richins called?
That's what the log says. Yeah, I don't have any recollection of that specifically.
Hydrocodone doesn't look like this M30 you talked about, imprint of M30.
No, I've not seen any counterfeit pills made to look like hydrocodone pills.
Okay. In this case, there were no traces. That is, you testified there was a lot of fentanyl in the blood.
Yes.
And there was no traces of anything else related to fentanyl.
In the blood, yes, correct.
These other things you talked about, urine, vitreous, liver, brain, heart, blood, none of those, based on your understanding of the literature, et cetera, would give you a definitive forensic proof of long-term use or not long-term use?
Definitively, no.
Okay. I have no more questions.
Mr. Ramos, anything further for Dr. Christensen?
Yes, Judge. 1 second. I apologize. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, doctor.
Is this witness released, counsel?
Yes.
Yes.
You're free to go, sir. Thank you. Please watch your step. Let's look at this stuff. Okay. You want to keep going, counsel, or you want to take a rest or break?
Your Honor, may I just confer briefly with
Of course.
counsel?
Yes.
Your Honor, this might be a good time for a break.
Okay, folks, let's take a restroom break. Please rise for the jury. Please have a seat. Mr. Bloodworth.
Your Honor, back to the video of the May 4th, 2023 interview. I think, I don't want to speak for him, defense has had a chance to review it, but we'll still have an objection.
Ms. Lewis, please.
Yes. Your Honor, we still object on two grounds. One is still hearsay. There's not only just the statements of Mr. Crozier and Detective Davis and Detective, I think Hamilton maybe was the other one there.
It was Ben Carino.
That's okay. That's fine.
I'm certain it was Ben Carino. You can think all you want. It was Ben Carino.
All right.
We
doesn't
have
matter.
law enforcement side, and then we have the Mr. Crozier side.
Right, but then we also have law enforcement making statements to Mr. Crozier, statements from Nicole Cummings and Carmen Lauber. So there's those hearsay statements in there also. And the other thing is, it says that it can be admissible under 801D when the person is subject to cross-examination. I know Mr. Crozier was subject to cross-examination, but he's no longer subject to cross-examination. It seems as if this video should have been introduced prior, because then we would have had the opportunity to show him portions of the video and cross-examine him on the video. That opportunity is now lost.
Why?
Well, he's been released from his subpoena. We don't know if he's been out talking about the case. I suppose.
Well, you could ask him about that, but he's not unavailable.
Well, that's correct. We could subpoena him and bring it back in. That's true.
And I just want to make sure I understand the procedural history here. Defense had the video, right?
Yes.
To the extent it had wanted to cross-examine him regarding the video when he was on the stand, you had the opportunity, and there may have been good reasons to not do it at the time.
Well, the main reason was he had no memory of it, so that made it difficult.
Well, that's exactly the condition that triggers 801D1A.
Well, 801D1A is if there is inconsistencies in it.
Or has forgotten.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I don't have it in front of me.
I mean, I think that is the basis to have a discussion regarding admission of the video, his side of it, right? Under 801D1A is that he was testified numerous times under oath in open court that he couldn't remember the interview,
Correct.
Even to the extent of saying that piece of transcript does not refresh my recollection.
Correct.
So I can instruct the jury to not consider anything other than Mr. Crozier's statements for the truth of the matter, that they can only consider the law enforcement half for context, as to provide context for why Mr. Crozier is responding. Other than that, any other hearsay concerns?
No other concerns.
Any other concerns?
No.
You had two reasons, you said.
Yeah, I gave them the hearsay of the other people.
Okay.
The subject to cross-examination
All right.
on the video.
Okay. Mr. Bloodworth, anything further on that?
No, Your Honor.
How would you propose we do this, Mr. Bloodworth? Play the video with the scrolling transcript for the jury nowish?
Yes, Your Honor. Maybe in 5 minutes-ish.
Sure.
state drank a lot of coffee.
No, you and I both. Let me make a ruling here and see if either side needs clarification.
Yes.
Mr. Bloodworth, as I understand it, the state seeks to admit and publish to the jury a 13-ish minute audio-visual recording of Mr. Crozier's interview with law enforcement in May of 2023. The recording is accompanied by the transcript that plays below the video in real time. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor, and it is labeled 8-64 D as in dog.
Okay.
Could you repeat that?
864 Delta.
Thank you.
Having had the opportunity to listen to Mr. Crozier's sworn testimony in open court, and given that defendant had the opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Crozier when he was on the stand, has had the video, and that there's no evidence before the court currently that Mr. Crozier is unavailable to be re-subpoenaed and brought back into the courtroom by defense if they determine it's necessary to do so. The court determines that Mr. Crozier's half of that interview with law enforcement from May 2023 is admissible as categorically not hearsay under Rule 801D1A because he testified under oath that he couldn't remember the statements he gave during that interview. And therefore, the statements that he makes in the interview qualify as statements regarding which he has forgotten, quote unquote. The court will instruct the jury that they cannot consider any portion of the law enforcement side of that interview for the truth of the matter, which resolves any hearsay issue with regard to the law enforcement half of the interview. Mr. Bloodworth, any clarification?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Lewis?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. It will be. 8-64D, as in Delta, is admitted on that basis. Let's take a 10-minute break. This clock in here shows 20 of 11. We'll come back at 10 of 11. Thank you.
Before we recess,
Yes.
may we get just the lineup, just so while we're on the break, we can take advantage of that and be prepared for whoever.
Who's coming in?
Yeah, it hasn't changed from what I emailed you on Saturday, so I think.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, folks. 10-minute break. Thank you. Court's in recess.
Where is the evidence prior to the murder? Where is the evidence? Where is the solicitation and conspiracy evidence? The state couldn't show that because there wasn't any evidence.
All right, have a seat. We're on the record. Mr. Bloodworth, I understand, will be admitting State's Exhibit 8-64D, a recording of a May 2023 interview with Robert Crozier. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor. The state moves to admit and publish 8-64D.
Ms. Lewis, any other objection other than the one I've already ruled on?
No, nothing further.
Okay. State's 8-64D is admitted. We'll get that queued up now. Please proceed.
Robert? How are you? Confused. I imagine you are. We'll get to why we're here in just a minute real quick, but let me just get a little basic information from you, okay? How about an address for you?
16 East, 350 South.
South, what city?
Your Honor, I'm so sorry, but you were going to give an instruction?
That is true. I appreciate that. Thank you for the reminder. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Crozier's side of this interview. So the other side of the conversation, there may be 2 or 3 other people on the other side of the conversation. You cannot consider any of what they say for the truth. The only thing you can consider them for is to explain why Mr. Crozier is responding or to provide context for his responses. But the non-Robert Crozier side of this conversation is hearsay that cannot be considered for the truth. Anything further, Ms. Lewis?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Please proceed.
Seems like we've lost the audio now.
That's all right. I'll fix it. Scott, please give it a try.
And a phone number for you.
Smith County.
Yeah. We'll get to it.
I'm about to say, I haven't been in Summit County.
I know you haven't, but you've had involvements with people in Summit County that we're looking at. That's what we're going to talk to you about.
What?
Phone number for you, Robert.
385. I couldn't even tell you. I'm so confused right now.
Okay.
I really can't. My phone's new anyways.
Okay. Don't know your phone number then?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get to why we're here to talk to you in just a minute. But before I do that, I'm going to advise you of your rights because you're obviously in custody here in jail, okay? So you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say could be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to an attorney and with you during questioning if you wish. If you can't afford to hire an attorney, one will be appointed for you before questioning. If you decide to answer questions now without having a lawyer here, you can stop questioning anytime until you're spoken to a lawyer. You understand those rights I've explained to you?
Sure.
Having those rights in mind, you want to talk to us today?
I mean, talking now.
Okay. So we're here to talk to you about a transaction that you made a little over a year ago with a female named Carmen Lauber that Nicole put you in touch with. You met her at a Maverick and Draper on 2 separate occasions in February of last year, so a little over a year ago.
Okay. It's not
Ringing a bell at all?
I mean, specific though.
Okay. Well, let me give you a little more information then. So we've talked to Carmen, we've talked to Nicole. We talked to Nicole yesterday, got her phone and downloaded everything we needed off of her phone. You sold Carmen blues on 2 separate occasions there at the Draper Maverick. As a result, somebody died from that transaction. So we're not interested in jamming you up or anything like that. We're simply here for information. But we know that you sold those, and we can prove that through cell phone records and that kind of stuff. But right now, your information for us is more valuable than you being charged federally with selling fentanyl that results in death. Like, now you're in on some drug stuff. Do you know anything about the federal rules with fentanyl and 30s? And
I don't know anything. I know you have got a distribution of I got caught with 30 of them in December. And then,
The M30s?
yeah.
Okay. So tell us what you know. Like I said, right now your information is more valuable, but at this point we can prove, we know that you met with Carmen that Draper Maverick on 2 separate occasions, sold her fentanyl. That fentanyl is then used in a death case, basically. So we tracked it back to this point, but we're not interested in jamming you up. We're here to try and corroborate information. Validate.
I know
what Carmen and Nicole have both already told us. So you're in the position right now of either telling us what you know about it and basically not hurting anybody because Carmen and Nicole have both already talked to us and tracked it here, and you're verifying information that we have. Or if you don't want to talk to us, that's fine. We will pursue it federally because we know that you sold them the fentanyl that resulted in the death. So that's kind of where we're at. And I'm not trying to bullshit you. I'm just kind of laying it out exactly how it is right now.
So, I know who Nicole is.
Okay.
About a year ago.
February 5th and 25th is when Carmen messaged Nicole. Nicole gave her your information.
Okay.
Then you guys set up 2 transactions at the Maverick and Draper. Okay.
Of last year?
Yes. It's not this previous February, a year before
Okay.
that. It's been a bit.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, Paul, I'm still quite a bit of this. So, very good. I'm not trying to be a douchebag or nothing, so it's hard to remember that much time passed. And do you have a number that she bought from me? Was it a quantity?
She said between 20 and 30 pills both times.
Okay. Then probably, yeah.
Do you remember going to that Maverick and Draper? Were you living down there at the time, or?
She lives. I want to say she lives pretty far away.
She lives in Heber.
Yeah, so like that was just where we were meeting.
Where were you coming from? Where were you living at the time?
Man, I've been living a little bit everywhere.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The last couple of years.
So it's kind of ringing back. You're kind of getting a little bit more. Well, tell me what you can remember about it.
I remember Nicole calling me and saying, "Hey, can you be my friend?" And I was like, "Yeah." So that, and then she was like, "Oh, she wants a lot." And I was like, "All right."
Is 30 a lot for you, or is that a lot for Nicole? Or?
I think it was a lot for Nicole. It wasn't a lot for me, but I was like, "All right." I didn't know anybody died. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we didn't expect that you knew that. And like I said, that's why at this point, your information, we're not interested in jamming you up or the distribution of it or anything like that. We're doing our investigation. You're kind of just on the edges of it a little bit as kind of an involved player, as being a hook basically for it. We're not interested in jamming you up or anything like that, but we are interested in the information you have you provide to us that validates what people have already told us.
Okay, as far as I know, I met her just the 2 times. I think I talked to her a couple more times after, but just to see, you know what I mean? Hey, you know, because somebody's spending, you know what I mean? You know, $500-600
Is that what 30 would run about $500 or $600?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. And did you hit her up afterwards to see if she wanted more, or did she hit you up afterwards?
I think I asked her one other time, and then she just didn't.
She's like, "Hey, you looking for any more?" or something.
Yeah, something like that. And she just didn't respond to me. You know what I mean?
Do you remember how you contacted her? Was it through text messaging, messenger?
I want to say it was through text messages, but I haven't had that. I haven't had it go somewhere the longest time.
What phone would it have been on?
My phone. Fuck. Maybe a 333-6156 number.
Do you still have that phone?
No.
Okay. The phone you have now is a newer one then?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you contacted that Carmen at all with that phone or anything? Do you know where that old phone would have been that would have those text messages on it?
No, I lost that phone a while ago.
Okay. But what did you think the phone number was, you said?
385-333-6156.
Okay. So with these transactions, when Carmen hit you up, what did she tell you?
She just told me that she had a friend that wanted, you know,
did she ask for blue specifically or fentanyl specifically, or did she ask for oxys, or what did she ask for?
No. I think she might have asked me for blue. I can't remember.
But you sold her M30s, right?
Yeah, I told her she knew what she was buying.
Okay, so it wasn't like she's asking for oxys or something like that, and she got the M30s.
Right, no.
Okay. So she knew that there was fentanyl on those pills.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you remember where you got those pills from?
I don't. Specifically.
Okay. What else can you tell us about that? That's all we're here to talk to you about was that transaction, those 2 transactions, I guess, a little over a year ago. We don't care about anything else, but what else can you remember about those?
She was with the older guy.
you remember what kind of car they showed up in?
No. Well, I said one time it was like a truck. Like a white truck or something.
Okay. When you say she was with an older guy, do you remember about ballpark how old he would have been?
I don't know, 50s probably, 60s.
You thought maybe one time in a truck, but you couldn't remember the other one?
No, because they were in a car the other time. I don't remember what car.
Okay.
The first time she was in the truck, though, for sure.
When you guys would have shown up with the Maverick, where would you go? Would you go around back of the Maverick, or just right there?
Just right in front.
Yeah. Just a quick hand-to-hand.
Yeah, hey, how you doing?
And you just said about $600 or so is what you charge for those.
Something like that.
Okay. Do you remember? So I think she would have ordered more the second time. Do you remember the quantity?
I don't remember the exact.
But you remember being there twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really remember meeting her twice because you guys told me that twice. I would have said once.
But do you remember now that it kind of
Yeah.
jogged your memory?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you think of anything else about those meetings with her or anything?
No, that's the only 2 times I talked to her.
Okay. How do you know Nicole?
This dude named Cam. I was staying with him, Roy, for a while. And she stayed there for a little while, and then she took off, and then Cam's a fucking widow, and we all take him up on one or anything. So.
Okay. So Nicole just hit you up and said, hey, would you want to be with my friend?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, that's cool. And you were in the apartment. Did she call you or text you? Do you remember?
I believe she called me.
All the time, or just that one time? Or?
I think she was like saying, like, she would take me like, hey, what's up? And then one of us would call the other one.
You'd be like, hey, I'm Nicole's friend or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How long was your? Like, hey, I'm Nicole's friend or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How long was your?
I think she was like saying, like, she would take me like, hey, what's up? And then one of us would call the other one.
Would you press pause? We'll fix that.
Yeah.
My apologies. Go ahead, Scott.
Out there, or drug court or some shit, wherever she was living. She was on, yeah, she was either on APNP or on drug court or something. I don't remember, and she had to hurry. It was always in a hurry, like, she was like, okay, well, I'm leaving here now, so I can meet you like halfway. Can you meet me halfway? Oh, yeah, I can do that.
And halfway was that Maverick there?
Yeah.
Draper?
Yeah.
Okay. You said one time she came with an older guy. Do you remember if that was the first time or the second time?
I believe it was the second time.
First time, do you remember if she showed up with anybody?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, I think those are all the questions we had for you. If we have any more follow-up questions, you want to talk to us again a little bit further?
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate you talking to us, Robert. Like I said, we're not here to jam you up over anything. We're just here to try and get some information and see what you
Might
got.
fucking one day wake up with some fucking manslaughter charges.
No. We're not going to pursue that. Like I said, if you didn't want to help us out or anything, we kind of have this view right now that the people we're interviewing, we've got enough information, and we're just trying to verify it. You're kind of either helping us out or you're not. And if you're not, you might, honestly. But all you've done right now, so we've already talked, Carmen's already talked, and Nicole's already talked. So you're not telling us anything we didn't know. You're not protecting anybody by not talking to us. All you'd be doing is basically rolling the dice with your future if you didn't want to talk to us. Because when the deaths are involved, the prosecutors do get a little spun up over it. And with fentanyl in the federal system, if you don't know this, if you get caught dealing fentanyl that results in a death, you could potentially face federal charges. It doesn't matter if you intended to cause the death or anything else like that. They're cracking down on it. So I don't know how long you're in for with. I know you're in on possession with intent stuff, but if you are still dealing, don't be dealing with that shit anymore because the feds are coming down hard on it, and it's only a matter of time, especially with how nasty that shit is.
And both of them gave me my name. I'm like, oh, yeah, we're all right. Nice.
Well, we'd already verified it through phone records. We already knew who they got it from.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like they told us anything we didn't know either.
Yeah.
We've been able to find everything we need through digital evidence and all the contacts, all the messages on Facebook, all that stuff.
Yeah, we knew all of that before we made contact with anybody.
Yeah. So it wasn't like they were diming you out or anything.
Yeah, well, me and Carmen even were friends on Facebook.
We actually were the ones that brought up your name to Nicole because we already knew that Nicole had put you in touch with Carmen, and we already knew all of that information.
Oh, okay.
So we're just trying to verify stories is all we're trying to do at this point.
Okay.
So, do you have any questions for us or anything like that?
Other than this isn't going to backdoor me here.
No.
No.
All right. We're not here to jam you up or anything like that. We don't give a shit about what's going on down here or anything like that.
Okay. I was just going to ask you, do any of your people ever tell you what they're going to use it for themselves, if they're going to try to sell it to anybody else? What their intents are?
Everybody that I deal with does it themselves. You know what I mean? Like, I do it myself, they do it themselves. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's.
Did Carmen ever mention anything about hooking it up for somebody else or anything like that?
No, like I said, like she was just. Like I met her twice, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I figured it was a long shot twice. You met her a year ago. I knew it was going to be a bit of a stretch for you to remember. But anything else you can think of, or anything else you can remember?
No.
Okay. As you think about it, if you do think of something, let one of the COs know, or one of the investigators here at the jail know. They'll reach back out to us if you think of anything else you want to talk to us about or anything like that. Okay. Any other questions or anything like that for us? Okay.
Thanks.
All right. We'll go grab the CO and let them know you're ready. Okay.
Mr. Bloodworth, the state's next witness, please.
Your Honor, the state calls Molly Crosswhite.
Miss, if you would step in front of Brittany, we'll get you sworn in, please.
She's in green.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury? I do. Thank you. Please have a seat.
Thanks, sir. Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ma'am. What, ma'am, is your name?
My name is Molly Crosswhite.
And is the last name spelled Crosswhite?
Yes.
Do you know who Kouri Richins is?
Not personally, but through this trial, yes.
Okay. Did you purchase a home from Kouri Richins?
I did.
When did you purchase that home?
It was January 26, 2022 is when we closed on that property.
Scott, can I get 8-12, please? Your Honor, permission to publish. This has been admitted already.
It's up.
No objection.
Ms. Crosswhite, do you recognize that house?
I do.
Is that the home that you purchased from Kouri Richins?
Yes.
Did you ever move into that home?
No.
Did you rent that home?
I did.
When did your renters occupy that home?
They moved into the property March 30th of that year. Their lease began March 1st, but they did not move here till the 30th.
You said you closed on that home, I'm sorry, the 26th or 27th?
I think it was January 26th.
January 26th, 2022.
Yes.
And was that home occupied between the date of the closing and the end of March when your renters moved in?
It was not.
Were the locks on that home the same as they were on January 26th when you closed to the time your renters moved in?
They were the same.
And did Kouri Richins rehab that home for you?
Prior to us purchasing it, it's our understanding she had done a renovation.
And did she have the keys to that home throughout that renovation process?
I would assume so.
Am I right then, as far as you know, that home was unoccupied between January the 26th, 2022, and the end of March 2022?
That's correct.
Thank you, ma'am. That's all the questions I have.
Ms. Lewis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, excuse me, can I grab some water? So before you closed on the home, you entered into a real estate purchase agreement,
That's right.
right? And can you pull up Defense Exhibit 1024, Katie? Thanks, Alex. Ms. Crossway, do you recognize that as the real estate purchase contract that you entered into?
Yes.
And do you know the date that you entered into that?
Looks like it was January 14th, 2022.
Your Honor, we'd move to admit Defense Exhibit 1024.
No objection.
Defense 1024 is admitted. Would you like to publish?
Sure.
Okay.
And then, Ms. Crosswhite, you closed on the home January 26th, was your testimony.
Yes.
Between January 14th and January 26th, did you do a walkthrough of the home?
Yes.
And what was in the home at the time that you did the walkthrough?
The home had been staged when they were marketing it for sale. So at that time, there was furniture in it. I think by the time we did our final walkthrough, which was a couple of days before we closed, all of the furniture had been removed from the property.
Was there anything else in the home once the furniture was removed, such as boxes?
Not that I recall. I don't remember exactly what was still there, but I do know that we had wanted the home to be fully vacated and all of the debris, and there was some garbage and things on the premises, like old cars even, that we had asked to have removed.
So do you recall if there were any boxes or cups or any items left in the closet of the home?
I don't remember.
Had there been, would you have asked that that be removed when you did the walkthrough a couple of days before closing?
I think that if it was something significant that we would really notice as a bunch of garbage or something that was going to be troublesome for us to remove from the property, we would have asked for it to be removed. Like a small item like a cup, I can't say would have stood out.
All right, that's fair. Now, you said the renters, their lease began March 1st. They didn't move in until the end of March. But was there work being done on the home during the time you closed and the time the renters moved in?
There was.
And particularly, was there work being done throughout February of 2022?
Yes, I think I provided a list of dates that was on record with our contractor. I think there was maybe 7 different days in February when there were contractors working on the property.
Okay. Would some of those dates have been February 10th, 11th?
Yes, that sounds familiar.
12th, 13th, and 14th? Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
All right. And you think there were additional dates other than those 5?
I think there was 2 more dates the following week, maybe that the 19th and 20th, if that's, I'd have to look back at the records, but according to my contractor's records, there was 2 more dates in addition to those 5 that you named.
Okay. And when they were working on the house, do you know if they were there all day, most of the day?
I don't know how long they were there. We were having things like insulation added into the attic and mortar added to the pot rock because there was animals coming into the home and things like that. We needed to get it ready for the tenants.
Okay. When you closed on the home, did you take possession of the keys?
I think that the key that was provided for us to access the home when we toured the property and made our offer remained at the property. I can't remember if it was hidden underneath, like somewhere at the front door. And we left that same key there for our contractors to use while they were working on the property.
All right. Did they keep the home locked?
I don't know.
Did you ask that they kept the home locked?
I would expect for them to. I mean, that's the point of a key.
Right. And the key wasn't in a visible spot, true?
No. I remember us having it hidden somewhere near the front door, maybe under a pot or under where anybody would think to hide a key. Probably not a great place to hide a key.
And it was your expectation the home would be locked throughout that time?
Yes.
Is that fair? All right. After you closed on the home, did you have any further conversations with Ms. Richins?
No, I never had any conversations with her directly. She was represented by another real estate agent.
Did you have conversations after you closed on the home with that agent?
I doubt it. I can't remember, but I would be surprised if I did.
Would you have told them the work that was going on in the home and who was in and out of the home? Would they have been aware of that?
I think that prior to us closing on the property, we definitely communicated our plans. It was part of our negotiations because we discovered quite a bit of work needed to be done in addition to the renovation that Ms. Richins had done. So I definitely had communicated, hey, we're not going to be able to rent this out the way that it is. We need, I think it was a $10,000 credit so that we were able to, complete the renovations in a way to make the home habitable.
Okay. And is there any reason they would have known Ms. Richins or her agent that you were talking to when, in fact, renters were moving into the home?
I don't know. I don't know if we shared that or not. I know that we definitely communicated we could not rent it out right away. Okay. And we had to take care of quite a bit before we felt comfortable having people move in.
All right. Could I have one moment? One or two more. Do you recall Ms. Crossway being interviewed by Mr. Bertram, in this case, the defense investigator?
Yes.
And do you recall telling him that when you took possession of the house, there was nothing in the house at that time?
Yes.
All right. And do you recall telling him at that time that you actually turned the key over to the contractors?
I don't remember. I never met the contractors on site, so I'm sure I did communicate to them where the key could be found on the property.
All right. Nothing further.
No, Your Honor.
You may step down. Is this witness released, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay, you're free to go. Thank you. Mr. Bloodworth. Oh, Ms. Sherbanek. Wow, I shouldn't make assumptions. I apologize.
Allison Wright, Your Honor.
Let's do it. Miss, if you'd step in front of Brittany, we'll get you sworn in. Right here, please.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury? Thank you. Please have a seat.
It's on the first page. It's 840.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If you could please state your name and spell your last name.
Allison Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T.
Ma'am, where do you work?
C&E Stonemasonry.
How long have you worked there?
Since established in 2010.
Did you know Eric Richins?
Yes.
How did you know him?
I first met him in junior high. He was a friend of my sister's. They were both in high school. He spent time at our house, and eventually we ended up in high school at the same time.
And is your husband was his business partner? Is that
Yes.
correct? Did you know Kouri Richins?
Yes.
How did you know Kouri Richins?
When I met her when she was dating Eric.
I want to talk with you about a couple of handwriting items before I ask you a few other questions. That's State's Exhibit 8-49 for the record. Sorry, I've got too many things on my podium here. All right. So I'm going to hand you this booklet.
Okay.
Okay, if you could turn to tab 4 for me. Do you recognize those items in tab 4?
Yes.
Is it, and if it's multiple pages, you can look through all the pages. Is it just the one page?
There's multiple pages.
Okay, and the first page is the one that you recognize, is that right?
Correct.
And go ahead and turn to tab 12 for me.
Okay.
And do you recognize those items?
Yes.
What are, in tab 4 and in tab 12, what are those items?
They are returned checks from C&E Stonemasonry's banking account.
And are those checks that you gathered and gave to Katie Richins Benson?
Correct.
And you gathered those from C&E's accounting books and things like that, their bank records?
Correct. The check on tab 4 was collected on an online banking, and the other ones were printed checks from our files.
What do you do for C&E?
Admin and bookkeeping.
Okay. So I want to switch gears. I want to turn your attention to February of 2019. Do you recall that time frame?
Yes.
Was there a time in February of 2019 that you took a vacation with Eric Richins and Kouri Richins and your families?
Yes. No, just the adults.
Just the adults. Okay, no kids were there. And do you remember a conversation during that trip with Kouri Richins that stood out to you?
Yes.
Go ahead and describe for the jury what you remember about that conversation.
On our vacation, Kouri and I ended up alone for a moment, and just talking about our families, life, kids.
Your Honor, objection. Can we approach?
Yes. You stand up and stretch your legs. We'll invite you out of court. Please rise for the jury. Please have a seat. We're still on the record. Ms. Sherbanek, if you would just ask your next several questions, we'll see where this goes.
Certainly. And so now that we're outside the presence of the jury, we're just going to get a preview of how you would answer the question that I just asked you. So describing what you remember from that conversation with Kouri Richins from the vacation.
While we were sitting there, we were discussing life, and Kouri then explained how things weren't super great, in her marriage, how she felt trapped. She explained to me that there was a prenuptial agreement that was put in place, and I had never heard of that. She continued to say how I think the trapped was mostly due to financial, is Eric would, because of the terms of the financial agreement, Eric would end up benefiting financially and continue to live as they currently were, where she would be in a different circumstance. She explained how she feared that the kids would be drawn to Eric's life and felt like she was unhappy in there, but feared what it would look like if she ended the marriage.
And is it okay if I ask a follow-up question?
Of course.
Did that conversation kind of give you context or inform you about Kouri, kind of what she was doing with her business at that time?
Yeah, things started to make sense. Like, I was impressed that she went and got a master's degree. Kouri's motivated, hardworking, and I always admired that. It felt like to become financially independent.
Your Honor, this conversation, can we get a foundation of exactly when in 2019 this conversation took place? Sometime in that year?
February, but
Mid-February. Okay. I think the trip started on the 17th, and I'm not sure what day.
Do you want to have this discussion with the witness present?
I do. Outside that, if she could step down and step out.
Do you want any more of her recollection before we have the conversation?
No.
Okay. Do you mind just waiting out in the lobby for us for a minute? Thank you.
Your Honor, may it please the court. According to Mrs. Wright, this conversation took place in February of 2019, 3 years prior, more than 3 years prior to Mr. Richins' death. In the interim, in between 2019 and 2022, the Richins attended marriage counseling and worked on their marriage, and a bunch of water under the bridge. This to allow a conversation on a vacation in a situation where two women are just chatting about the condition of their marriage, 3 years. There's certainly no allegation here that Kouri Richins was planning to murder her husband 3 years in advance. Outrageously prejudicial due to the temporal distance in the statement that is being made, because it's 3 years prior.
Why isn't it relevant to show that Ms. Richins was aware of the outcome financially that would flow to her from a divorce based upon the prenuptial agreement?
She's aware of that when she signs the prenuptial agreement. They've entered the agreement that she signed.
This is, well, I mean, I think you've answered my question. It is relevant to show she's aware of it.
No, sir. The conversation in 2019 certainly isn't relevant. They have introduced a prenuptial agreement that she signed. It's clear that she knew.
I apologize for interrupting you. It's not clear because it doesn't, I have no evidence that she read it. I don't have any evidence that she understood it. Here, I have a witness saying she understood it, was aware of it, was fearful of it, was taking steps to mitigate.
Okay. If that's going to come in over my objection, certainly respect your ruling. We've made our record, but I would ask that all the rest of that conversation be stricken as too far away, about being trapped in her marriage, about being unhappy. Everything about that is utterly irrelevant and outrageously prejudicial. And we would ask that it be stricken and only be allowed to say that she discussed her prenuptial agreement, and that's it. And we also would like a continuing objection to any questions of this witness about any conversation in 2019. And we respect your ruling on that.
Okay, so defendant's objection to this series of questions of Ms. Wright is overruled. The testimony that was put on the record through the voir dire requested by defendant is relevant because it shows defendant's genuine subjective awareness of what she believed were the financial consequences that would flow to her if she and her husband divorced. It provides additional probative value because it shows that she was concerned about having less money than her husband if they divorced by virtue of the prenuptial agreement. She was taking steps to mitigate that potential potential financial effects. She was concerned about how her children might associate more with her husband by virtue of the lifestyle that he would be able to maintain in a post-divorce financial environment. That is all probative to the issues in this case, and it is not substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice.
Your Honor, can I also get a ruling just to avoid having to take another break when the jury comes back? Obviously, I have a right to go into her credibility and bias at this point, no matter what's being asked on direct, correct?
That's a very broad statement. You can certainly go into potential sources of bias.
Thank you. That's all I need.
Okay. Okay. Folks, let's take a 10-minute break. We'll come back at 10 of 12. Thank you. No one is allowed to speak to Ms. Wright during this break. Please give her some space. Thank you. Court's in recess.
All rise.
Is Nestor ready for the jury?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Shervanek?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yeah.
They can come in when they're ready. You have a glass of water?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All rise, jury.
Please have a seat as you come in. All right, please have a seat. Ms. Shervanek, please proceed.
So, Ms. Wright, before we took our break, I had asked you about a conversation you had with Kouri Richins on a vacation you took. When did that vacation take place?
February of 2019.
And what was that conversation? Describe for the jury what happened during that conversation.
Kouri and I were finally in a position where our husbands were no longer with us. We were just discussing life. We both have kids, our marriages, and Kouri opened up and shared that things were difficult at home. And a word I remember is that she felt trapped. At this time, I learned that their marriage had a prenuptial agreement, and she explained that she felt like she was frustrated in the relationship, but also it would be difficult to leave. Eric would end up financially secure, and her the opposite. She feared what would happen in divorce. She mentioned that maybe the kids would prefer him with the lifestyle that they had, four-wheelers and toys and opportunities, where she would have less. She feared how she would be represented by him in the community. I felt for her. It was a hard conversation. I knew that things had been hard since their youngest child was born, and I was tender towards her current circumstance.
Thank you. And did that conversation give you any context to what was happening in terms of Kouri's business at that time?
Yeah, Kouri is super ambitious. She went back to school and got a master's degree. I was impressed. I had young kids. I wasn't sure I could do that. She then went and got a real estate license and was trying to build that business. That conversation kept playing in my mind as I think this is a way to become financially independent and secure.
Thank you. Those are all my questions for you. The defense may have some. Thanks.
Thank you.
May it please the court. Good morning.
Good morning.
This conversation you're talking about happened in Hawaii, didn't it?
No.
Where was it?
Costa Rica.
I'm sorry, Costa Rica. And the reason you all were talking about her marriage, there was a reason she was upset in her marriage at that time, wasn't there?
Not that I know.
Think hard.
Reason she was upset. What I understood from the conversation is things were frustrating at home.
And that's because she believed he was having an affair with a coworker? Is that right?
Overruled.
Is that right?
She and I never discussed her thinking about an affair.
Is that the context of the conversation you were having that day, that she believed he was having an affair with a coworker, and that's why she was upset with her marriage and talking about divorce?
I don't recall that.
Were you aware of it at that time, that there was an affair going on between Eric and a coworker?
I don't recall that conversation versus when I found out.
When did you find out?
Or wait, I'm sorry, will you repeat that question?
When did you find out that Eric was having an affair with a woman that worked with him?
These are facts not in evidence. Assumes facts not in evidence.
Foundation. You got to lay a foundation for this. I'm not sure this witness knows anything about it. Why don't you ask?
You just testified that when you found out, you weren't sure if it was during this conversation. So when did you find out?
That's not accurate. You have to ask it open-ended.
Okay. When did you find out? Was it any time near this conversation?
Will you repeat that question with more detail?
When did you find out that Eric was supposedly having an affair with another woman in context to this conversation? Before, after, during?
I'm having a difficult time understanding because help me understand affair. Because, like, I think there was a friendship with a lady, but I don't know exactly what was going on.
Understood. That's fair. So let me rephrase it. Did you become aware that Eric had intimate feelings towards a woman that he was working with?
Your Honor, assumes facts not in evidence. Making a
Asking
question.
whether this person ever became aware of it. Overruled. It's a yes or no question. Ms. Wright, could we start there?
Can you repeat the question?
Did you become aware that Eric, at around this time, 2019, had intimate feelings towards a woman, that another woman that he worked with, that was causing problems in their marriage?
I don't remember when I became aware of it.
Ballpark.
I'm sorry. I think I'd heard of it like twice, and I don't remember. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
When you were having this conversation with Kouri, did you know at that time?
I don't believe I did.
All right, these vacations, you had vacations with Eric and Kouri on more than one occasion, didn't you guys?
Yes.
And then at some point, those totally stopped, didn't they?
Yes.
And what happened that made you guys stop going on vacations together?
COVID was the next year.
Besides COVID?
Our family life was busy.
In fact, didn't Cody and Eric have a big falling out? Your husband is Cody Wright, correct?
My husband is Cody.
And how does Cody Wright know Eric?
We were friends in high school. They went on to work together, broke off and started a business together, and maintained their friendship.
So they were business partners.
Correct.
And they both owned C&E stonemasonry together, right?
Correct.
And at some point, your families quit hanging out. Personally.
We continue to go to birthday parties and like that kind of an event. No longer vacations. I think we had a vacation planned in 2020 that got canceled due to COVID is the one that I recall.
In fact, didn't Eric and Cody have a falling out over Cody calling the police on Eric?
Cody didn't call the police on Eric.
Did Cody provide testimony against Eric with relation to an investigation against Eric for violating hunting laws?
Lack of foundation.
Well, this is a different question. Ask her if she's aware.
Are you aware that Cody provided information to law enforcement against Eric for a violation of hunting laws?
Yes.
Okay. And Eric and him, as I would say, fell out over that. I don't know another word. Had a disagreement about that.
Yes, temporarily.
And you guys never vacationed together again after that, did you?
No.
All right. Now, you said that you did the payroll and the bookkeeping at C&E, is that right?
We have a payroll service company.
Oh, sorry, sure. Okay, but you do the bookkeeping.
Yes.
So you know how much money's coming into that company, right?
Correct.
And you know how much money's going out, right?
Yes.
And do you and your husband have joint, do you share your marital money, or does he keep his business money separate?
We share our marital money.
Pause for 1 second, Ms. Nestor. Go ahead, Ms. Sherman.
This is outside the scope, correct?
Sustained.
All right. Setting aside your personal financial affairs, you're very aware of C&E's financial affairs, correct? Because you do the bookkeeping.
Correct.
All right. And
Objection, Your Honor, this is still outside the scope.
no, it's not.
Yeah. Please approach. I'm not sure where you're headed here. Your next question, please, Ms. Nestor.
Since Eric's death, you and your family have grown pretty close to the Richins family. Is that fair?
Objection, Your Honor.
Goes to bias. Goes to bias.
Overruled. If you would please restate the question.
Since Eric's death, you and Cody have become very close to the Richins family. Is that fair?
I would say the relationship didn't change.
So you were very close to them before?
Yes.
All right. And it's true that since Eric's death, your husband has even accompanied them to court hearings and sat beside them. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Have you?
Yes.
And I think everything else is going to be when we recall. Ma'am, we're going to recall you later. We would ask that you're not released from your subpoena, and the judge will instruct you about that. That's all we have at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything within the scope of cross, Ms. Sherman?
If I could just have a minute.
Of course.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Wright, you're free to go today. You're still subject to the subpoena that you were served with. You may be called back. Between now and then, please do not speak to anybody about your testimony, including your husband. Okay? And please don't watch any coverage of this case. Don't read, listen, watch anything about it. Do you agree to do those things?
Yes.
Very good. You're free to go. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good time for a lunch break, counsel? Or do we have another short witness you want to get on and off?
Your Honor, we can break. I understand there's some legal issues to address too, so.
Understood. Okay. Any objection to a lunch break, counsel? All right. Please rise for the jury. Folks, quick reminder, you know what I'm going to say. Please don't discuss the case. Don't read, watch, or listen to anything about it. Please don't do any research. Enjoy your lunch. 12:40, counsel, is that reasonable?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 12:40. Thank you. Have a seat. Thank you. We're on the record. Mr. Bloodworth.
Your Honor, we're going to quickly next call Detective O'Driscoll just for a phone download. He'll have perhaps more time later.
Okay.
But then it's Mr. Cochadimos, and I understand the defense has some objections related to Mr. Cochadimos.
Mr. Ramos, tell me more.
Thank you, Judge. I figured we'd do this just outside, that way we can speed things along. We've been provided with some exhibits that appear to rely, correct me if I'm wrong, on some CDR data, call detail records, from Verizon and T-Mobile, I believe, and AT&T. Those items, we were not provided notice of their use under 901.11, and so we would just make an objection under that.
Forgive me. They were provided some reasonable time after being received by the state.
Yeah, no. The information was provided to us. We've had that for a while. Just notice of their use under that business record exception.
Can you give me that citation one more time?
Yeah. Apologies. Rule 902.11, I believe is what we would be coming in through. And specifically, I'm referring to the written notice.
Why isn't inclusion of these records on the state's exhibit list fair notice under 902.11?
Just based on the case law, Judge, I could give you a citation. I have two cases I think are fairly on point. 32P3D 976, State v. Webster.
What's the other one?
And then 322 P3D 624, State v. Pereira. We just bring this up, Judge, now. We could have a ruling after lunch is fine. And that would be our only objection.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Bloodworth, I made an assumption there, if you could just confirm it for me. These call detail records were in fact included among the state's proposed exhibits on its exhibit list?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything further on this, sir?
Yeah, right, Your Honor. Just to clarify that, they've been disclosed, and the disclosure included the certification from whoever returned the subpoena.
Right. The declaration. I understand your point to be slightly different than the self-authenticating piece. Got it?
Correct.
Okay. Pause there for a minute. I'll take a look at those two cases, Mr. Ramos. We can pick this up at 12:40. After Ms. Crosswhite testified, and after we took that break, one of the jurors passed out the following note. I'll read it. I don't think this is an issue, but just letting you know. Quote, Judge, I have met witness Molly Crosswhite professionally. She has done one transaction for a home where I work. Any concerns, Mr. Bloodworth?
No, Your Honor.
To-do list.
Sure.
Either following lunch or at the end of the day, may we address the motion for mistrial that you made at sidebar following the mention of jail calls by Ms. Gibson?
Yes, sir, I'm prepared whenever you are.
All
Just
right.
let me know.
Let's do that after lunch as well.
Okay.
Thank you. We will be in recess until 12:40. Thank you.